Good evening, South by Southwest. I want to start by doing something slightly different. Can you all answer out loud for me 4 quick questions, yeah? A bit louder. Can you answer 4 quick questions out loud? Yeah. Okay, it's pretty simple. It goes like this. What colour is snow? White. What colour is a doctor's coat?
White.
What colour is this t-shirt? What do cows drink?
Milk. Water.
Ah!
That's the point for it.
One guy in the front knows. Cows drink water. The rest of you are nudged to think about milk, because I got you to ask 3 questions that thought white, white, white. Your human brain works in a way that you don't think it knows. It's the part of the body that most of us least understand. So over the next 30 minutes, I want to give you a crash course into your human brain so you can be better at changing behavior, because at some degree, everyone's job in this room exists to change behavior. And yet that's the thing that we never get any formal training in. Should we try something else? I've actually brought my shopping list along with me for you to all help me remember. So let's see if anyone can get this. Paint, dog biscuits, newspapers, flashlights, prescription, chicken, toothpaste, shampoo, and banana. Has anybody got all 9 for me? Of course you don't, you're all human. But let's try the body technique. It's a memory technique from the 80s that I'm going to teach you now so you can remember anything that you need to know. So, all of you, if you can, take your left leg and pretend to dip it in thick blue paint. You've taken your socks off, so you're filling every ooze into that blue paint, that squelch, squelch, squelch. You can put your left foot down now. Now your right foot has a big toe, except it's not a big toe anymore, it's a dog biscuit. And there's actually a dog of your choice biting at the end of your toe. So you can just shake your right leg as if a dog is really biting your big toe, because it thinks it's a dog biscuit. Now we've got a newspaper, let's make it easy. We've got 2 newspapers rolled up really, really big, and they're inside each of your pockets. So when you're walking around, they're kind of slapping the people next to you all in the face. So you've got newspapers in your pocket. Inside of your belly button, coming out of your belly button, is a big beam of light, which represents the flashlight. So as you move your stomach, there's a big spotlight that goes around the room. After that, you're now laying on your back, leaning backwards, and your doctor is actually leaning. You're in a hospital bed. Your doctor is leaning and writing your prescription with a pen, pressing on your chest. You can feel it etching inside. And above that, on your left shoulder, you have a chicken. A live chicken. It's a really beautiful chicken. It's not one of those mangy ones. It's a really beautiful looking chicken. And it's biting at your ear. It's kind of pecking. If you have a little earring, it's pecking at that metal earring. You can tell I'm cheap. It's a metal earring. On the right-hand side, you can't hear much. It's muffled because deep, deep, deep inside your ear is toothpaste. You can smell the mintiness of the toothpaste, but it's really muffling the sound because there's so much toothpaste. It's the one with the 3 stripes pushing into your ear. Now, what's worse is if you all just lean forward slightly and open your mouth, all the shampoo foam is coming out. You can taste the alkaline. It's just coming out uncontrolled of your mouth, all over your beautiful shoes, definitely the front row. And the final thing, on top of your head, while all that's happening, you're trying to balance a banana. So, let's see if that has changed your memory. So what is your left foot going into? Shout out. Blue paint. Good memory. You've got the colour right and everything. And on your right foot is dog biscuit. And inside your pockets are... And then, it's hard for me to remember too, outside your belly button is... a flashlight, and then on your chest is from the doctor, and on your left ear is a chicken, and on your right ear is the toothpaste to make it easy for you, and then coming out your mouth is, and balanced on your head is, congratulations. We will do that in precisely 90 minutes time again, and see how, and I'm going to ring you all next week and we'll see if we've still got it in there. Let's see. The human brain is the most interesting part of the body. This is actually a picture of my brain. You can tell it's my brain because of the big nose that sticks out to the right-hand side. Your brain is about 1.4 kilograms in weight. Feels like mushroom if you ever get to touch one. Hopefully you don't. The bigger your brain, the stupider you are. Actually, really, really smart brains have learned to kind of condense themselves down to make really, really fast connections. Einstein's brain, actually in post-mortem, was quite a small brain. So if someone says you've got a big brain, they're not being very nice to you. There are more connections between the cells in your brain than there are known stars in our galaxy. Each cell can be connected up to 10,000 other cells. It's an incredibly, incredibly complex space. And the challenge with it is, we all wrongly believe that we know our own brains. We wrongly believe that we know all of the reasons why we do something. And the fact is, most of your brain is running on automatic most of the time. It's your subconscious, your unconscious, all of the stuff that you process without thinking about it. And it's that part of the brain that I need to shine a light on today, because you know about your conscious parts of the brain. If I said to you 5 times 2, you would say 10. Usually quicker, and usually more of you. Don't know what's going on. People still try and remember the shopping list, and they can't fit anything else in. And that's done with this kind of deep part of the brain, what you might call your System 1 brain. On top of that, we've evolved, unique to humans, System 2, the conscious part of your brain. So if I said to you 17 times 24, which I won't, because 5 times 2 was so hard, that would be a conscious part of the brain where you're really thinking that you think. That's the part that we live in every single day. And we are what psychologists call opaque to introspection. We don't know how to look inwards into our brain. In fact, the founder of Ogilvy, where I work, he wasn't a behavioural scientist, but he said, people don't think what they feel, they don't say what they think, they don't do what they say. Life isn't as easy as asking people what they want and then giving them it. We don't understand the deep parts of our brain. I'll tell you a quick story. You know when you go into the hotel and you go into the bathroom, there's that small sign that says, at this hotel, we really care about the environment. So what we'd like you to do is to reuse your towels at least once during your stay. You've all seen that sign many, many times. When you do that, you get about 31% of people reusing their towels, unless you add on a persuasive part of the message known as social proofing, where we reference the behaviours of others to drive a social norm. So if you say many people who stay at this hotel tend to reuse their towels at least once during their stay, you get about a 33% increase in the amount of times that people reuse their towels. What's interesting is, if you ask people which sign is going to work, is it the environmental message or is it the social proof message? They say, I'm all about the environment and I'm not a sheep. I kind of follow my own mind. You put them into the hotel, the total opposite happens. We don't always know why we do what we do, and that's why it's so important to think like a behavioural scientist. A behavioural scientist for the past 100 years have studied the deep human drivers behind why we do what we do. And every problem that you need to solve is unlocked by changing perspective. And I think having the perspective of a behavioural scientist is very important. So as I said, if you go up your spine, where the spine gets to the base of the brain, that's known as the System 1 brain. That's where we don't think, we think. So when you first learn to drive, everyone's learned to drive, you have to think really, really hard about it at the beginning. It's exhausting your first couple of lessons, isn't it? But eventually you get down to a place where you can drive without even thinking about it. First time you download the South by Southwest app, it's really, really complicated, and then eventually you get to get the grips with it. And that's because we're going from our System 2 conscious brain, where we have to really think about everything that we're doing, and if we do things time and time again, it can often become a habit, and we can do it without thinking about it. And I want to tell you that's a good thing, because if you had to think about every single thing you did throughout the day, you'd be absolutely exhausted. So actually having this automatic brain as a co-pilot to yourself is really, really good. What's critical is to know what it's doing and why it's doing it. So what psychologists have been doing is decoding this unconscious, subconscious System 1 brain and understanding all of these mental shortcuts, the kind of the pre-programming that you're born with from your parents and from your evolutionary history, and all of the things that it will be doing on your behalf. Because when we know why we work, we can make some great decisions, and we can build experiences for people that really, really work. The majority of your daily decision-making, 95%, is subconscious. So, I represent Ogilvy today, one of the world's largest creative networks, and we have one of the biggest businesses in behavioural science. We've done over 1,000 projects all across the world. We have behavioural scientists in many parts of the world, all looking about how to change behaviour. And I wanted to boil that down into 7 lessons for you today, 7 ways to change your perspective about how you do your problem solving so you as well can think like a behavioural scientist. So, let's start. First of all, it's about knowing your persuasion driver, knowing why people really do what they do. When we sit in rooms and we think about how do we get someone to do something, we often think about all those rational ways, all those system 2 ways. We think about, okay, we'll drop the price, we'll discount, we'll give them more product benefits, we'll say more reasons why to go, and they'll just go. But we all know, don't we, that information doesn't equal behaviour change. So there's loads of stuff we know that we should do that we don't do. So we know it's about more than just the system 2 drivers. What we need to do is learn how to speak to that system 1 brain and understand why it works. So I'm going to take you all to Australia now. And we're all going to leave our jobs, and we've all been employed by KFC, and it's our job to make the $1 chips offer the most successful it can possibly be. So let's try and do that together. So we can't change how much the chips are, we can't change how many chips we give away, and we can't make the chips any more delicious because they're already kind of perfect. So all we can do is talk about how we frame that offer using different behavioural science principles. I'm going to show you 5. We tested 90, but I'm going to show you 5. And then I'm going to ask you to put your hands up on which one you think is the most effective. And that's going to be really fun, okay? Okay, great. So the first one is reciprocity. It's the psychological idea that if I give something to you, you feel slightly socially obligated to give something back. So if we said, you asked for free chips, so we met you halfway with our chips for $1, could that be the most persuasive way of saying $1 chips? Or is it what psychologists call value payoff, which is basically, if you highlight a downside, people are more likely to be an upside, because sometimes things are a bit too good to be true. So if we said pick up only, not the delivery product, could that be the most powerful way of doing this? Or is it social proof, which is, again, the idea that we like to do things that people like ourselves are doing. So if we said everyone is enjoying our chips for $1, are you? Could that be the most powerful way of changing behaviour? Or could it be number 4? Could it be loss aversion? So our system 1 brains over hundreds of thousands of years have learnt to hate losing more than they like gaining. You survive more if you have a hatred of losing something rather than a desire to gain proportionally. So if we said they won't stick around forever, it's not an offer that lasts forever, reminding people of the shortness of time, is that the thing that would drive behaviour? Or is it what psychologists call anchoring, which is basically humans love targets, and if you say maximum 4 per person, is that the most powerful way of shaping behaviour? So, for a bit of fun South by Southwest, we're going to take some votes. So hands up for reciprocity. Hands up for value payoff. Hands up for social norms. Hands up for loss aversion, most, and anchoring. So you'll be surprised to know the actual winning condition was anchoring. It had over a 50% increase in chip sales by getting that. All we did was take that from the terms and conditions. It always was maximum 4 per person. It just wasn't brought up. We don't know why we do what we do. Let's try another one. Don't always do as your customer says. We all know Christian Aid, faith-based charity, had declining donations, sadly, for many years, and they make most of their donations during Christian Aid week. It's when an envelope gets delivered to your door in the UK on the Monday, you fill it up with a bit of cash, and on Sunday people pick it up and we count them up. We had the chance to test 6 different envelopes, hundreds of thousands of envelopes across the UK to see which one was the winner. Let's see if we can do better than last time. Okay, all of these envelopes have the same information. I've just zoomed in on the bit that we need to be looking at. So, labour illusion. It's the idea that if you say you've put more effort into something, highlight the effort that's gone into something, people are more likely to value it and give you something back. So if we have a sticker on there that says hand delivered and hand collected by the volunteer, does that make you feel a bit more obligated to give? Or is it scarcity? We desire more what we think there is less of. And in terms of time, we're collecting donations this week only. Does that make you think, oh, I should actually get around to doing that this week, not just leave that for next week? Or is it what psychologists call cognitive ease, which is you all get lots of stuff through our letterbox, don't we? And actually, if you just put appeal, donation envelope, you make it a bit easier for people to kind of process what's going on. Or is it affordance cues, which is from the design world, basically how you design the envelope dictates how people interact with it. We changed the envelope from being horizontal to being landscape to being portrait. Is that the most powerful? Or is it salience? Basically drawing attention to the idea of gift aid, that if you put your name and your postcode, the government will match your donation by 25%, you will get to give more for free. Is that the most powerful version? Or is it what psychologists call costly signaling, which is basically we infer how valuable something is based on how much we can see kind of has been invested into it. So a thicker envelope, a more expensive, premium-looking, thicker envelope, would that gather more cash than the others? Okay, we will take hands for labour illusion, hand-delivered sticker. Yeah. We will take hands for scarcity, this week only. Not bad. Cognitive ease. It's different every time I do this. It's so interesting. Affordance cues, turning the envelope around. Salience, gift aid. I think it depends how loud I shout them out as to how many hands go up. I think I've just figured out what it is. And costly signalling. That doesn't work. Okay, the winner was affordance cues. Turning the envelope around 90 degrees has a significant impact, has a 17% increase in the amount of donations. That envelope gets 17% more. Gift aid actually reduced the amount of donations that Christian Aid received. Getting to give more actually took away people's kind of good feelings were given, and then people gave less along the way. What's interesting is you can't sit in the board of Christian Aid before doing the project and say, what you need to do to reverse the decline of donations and to increase donations by 17% is to twizzle that envelope around. You can't say that. No one takes you seriously. But it can sometimes be the solution. And it's not what customers would have said would have got them to donate more. We've got to understand people rather than ask people. We'll take you around to, we were with Odeon, great cinema chain, looking at how we can get more people to have a fuller cinema experience and get that food and beverage. And how do you get more people, and this is about pre-ordering. So we all know you get there, loads of queues, not very nice. If you can get people to pre-order, everyone has an easier experience. You go and you pick up your stuff, you go to the film. Everyone loves it. But how do you get people to do it? If you ask them around the world, everyone says, just make it cheaper, please. No matter what nationality we tested, everyone said, make it cheaper. The thing that made the difference was using what psychologists call hot states. So if I ask you, when you're trying to book tickets, do you want to add any food and drink on that? You're in ticket buying mode. You're in a cold state. You're not ready to go there. But if we remind you an hour before, you're in the car on the way there, you're on the tube on the way there, you're thinking, oh, what might I have? How do I skip the queue? If I ask you in a hot state, exact same message in a hot state, we have a significant, I can't share the result, but it is a significant, like 10x at least, in the amount of people, asking people at the right time. It's not always what the message is, it's about when we ask, and it's about not defaulting to discounting. People will always ask for cheaper stuff, it's not always what works. This is an amazing one, I love this one. So this is looking at how do you reduce queues in airports, probably one of the most meaningful things we've ever worked on. The thing is, with a queuing passenger, is they're not a spending passenger. So there's a lot of people very interested in how do you get those queues down. But you know, when you go to the check-in desks, one of the big reasons why that queue is so long is that infrequent passengers don't have their passports and their booking confirmations ready. And because, you know, they're nervous travelers, they know if they lose those documents, you're not traveling, so they keep them deep inside of an unfamiliar backpack. It really slows things down. If you can get people to have those 2 documents ready at the check-in desk, so many more, the queue will go a lot faster. So you can put up signage in every language to say, please do that. Nobody does it. You can pay people, multilingual people, to go down the queue, say, get these 2 things ready, we'll all go through. No, it doesn't do anything. You employ a psychologist, you think like a behavioural scientist, and that small piece of carpet that you have at the check-in desk, if you extend it about 10 feet into the queue, so the next 3 passengers are stood on the carpet, they feel like they're next, and they automatically take out their documents. Nobody knows that carpets change behaviour. No marketing executive has carpet on their media plan, but it could be, when you think about how to think like a behavioural scientist, one of the ways of doing that. We also have a proportionality bias. We tend to think that in order to make big changes in the world, we have to do big, expensive, difficult to implement ideas. And there's a big space for that. But the problem with that is we then miss lots of the smaller things that we can do that can have disproportionate butterfly effects along the way. We were working with RAP, looking at food waste. So looking for the UK government's kind of NGO body, looking at Tara who did the project, because I can't remember. And we're looking at how do you reduce food waste. You can give people loads of information about how terrible it is. And it is pretty terrible when we waste food, the impact that it has on the planet. But that doesn't go into people's heads when they're opening up the fridge and making those in-moment decisions. What did make an interesting difference in our first round of testing was rather than putting the date, who knows the date? No one knows the date. Who knows the date? It's a Tuesday. So if you put Tuesday, March the 6th, rather than just March the 6th, you more immediately recognize when this thing needs to be done. You go, well, I've got the weekend to use this, or I've got to use it before the weekend. You can quickly make a plan. It's a suitable intervention to shape behavior. So making things just what psychologists call cognitively easier can make a huge difference. We can't miss small solutions. By looking at the big, we often miss some of those smaller things we can make big changes with. Test counterintuitive ideas. This is the hardest thing to do. Because most people do things because their competitors do them. It's kind of they follow best practice, so they're always kind of second, third, fourth, fifth place. No one's really looking for discovered practice to kind of lead the way and to think about how we change people. So testing counterintuitive ideas can be twice as valuable because your competitors basically aren't looking for them. So I want to take you to India. We were working in a call center for Adobe. This is probably an audience that's quite familiar with the Creative Cloud subscription. So people are ringing up the call center, one is to cancel, and we've got a team of call center agents there that we can teach how to think like a behavioral scientist to get you to get more out of your membership, essentially. Now, they used to say, what is your reason for your cancellation? And I'm going to show you 3 other things that we tested, and I'll see if you can guess which one, see if we can do better than last time, see if we can guess which one is going to be most effective. Are we ready? Okay. There was a woohoo there, wow. Look at that, that's never happened. Okay. Authority bias. We're more likely to follow a recommendation if it comes from a relevant authority, with a person who works at Adobe. So let me look into your account to check the most recommended option. So you could leave, but actually we've got several other routes here that lots of people take. Do you want to take that? Or do we use what psychologists call priming, which is things we recalled recently are easy to recall again and again. So what was your reason for purchasing Creative Cloud originally? Not why you're leaving, why did you join in the first place? Or was it scarcity? We desire more that we think there's less of. Let me look into your accounts to view exclusive offers for your membership. Maybe it's just for me. Maybe it's just for me. But it doesn't apply to everyone, this one. Therefore, I'm going to take more thoughts about this one and take it more seriously. So for one last time, let's see how we're going to do. Who thought the control was the winning condition? Thank you. Who thought the authority bias was the winning condition? Who thinks priming? A lot of people on priming. And who thinks scarcity? That's between priming and scarcity, isn't it? Interestingly, priming was our winner here. Did anybody get all 3 correct, by the way? Did you really? Well done. I'll be checking the video feed, because that's true. And then we'll talk. So, that had every single, the first couple of years at least, when we were counting, multi-million differences to the churn rate, multi-million-dollar differences to the churn rate. And again, going back to that small changes, big effects thing, this is changing one line in a call center script to make sure when people ring up, we ask them why they're joining rather than why they're leaving. It's then easier to have a conversation about how you save someone, rather than making it really hard for the call center agent to go, why are you looking to leave? Now you've just rehearsed it, there's no way I can save you. So just knowing what to say at the right point is a really good way of knowing how to change behavior. And finally, a lot of behavior change is about making the invisible visible. So we were working in South America, We were actually told it was going to be a chocolate factory, but there was a mistranslation. When we were on the plane there, we realized we were going to land and go straight to an abattoir, which is a very different kind of project. Apparently the words are quite similar. You land, you go through all of the experience, and all we need to get people to do, the behavior change is this: get people to wash their hands when they go into the factory, and get people to wash their hands when they clean the factory. Going to an abattoir, we thought, well, it's going to be at least 120% compliance. So there's no way people would skip that. But we're all human. We're all in a rush. We're all doing things. We all don't do things perfect every time. And so we might have rates that aren't as compliant as they could be. And it's $1 billion problem, this, because if you have to close your factory, you have to pay fines to the brands, you have to recall the product, you have to close the factory, reset the factory, steam clean it, all of that good stuff, because we need to get people to wash their hands when they go into the factory, when they leave the factory. Now, all of those, remember the System 1 and the System 2 brain from the beginning. All of the System 2 brain stuff had been done. We tried people paying them more if they washed their hands. We tried paying groups of people more if they washed their hands, if their team washed their hands. Tried fining people if they didn't wash their hands. Tried the blue lights, tried everything. For about a decade, many of the System 2 levers were pulled, but they didn't change behavior, because you can't rationally convince people to do things all of the time. Instead, we invented a hand stamp, and a hand stamp that inside of it had a sticky ink. It was actually a sticky ink that took approximately the same amount of time to wash off your hands as the time that you kind of had to legally compliantly wash your hands for. So you'd walk into the hand washing bay, your hand would be stamped, and then you would have to wash it off. And if not, there would be a bit of a sign on you to say that you weren't quite ready. So if you got home to your partner that evening, you'd be sent back to the bathroom to wash your hands. And it has a significant difference. It had a 63% reduction in dirty hands overnight, even over the night shift, which is the hardest behaviors to change. So we have to think laterally about how we change behavior. So at the beginning, most problems that you have, most things that you're trying to do, every problem in the world has been solved. It just hasn't been solved in your kind of area. But if we can understand what are the psychological barriers, then we can often, and think like a behavioral scientist, we can often give new perspective to things, a more human understanding of the problem, to then think about how we shape behavior. So that is 13 years, 1,000 behavior change projects around the world, boiled into 7 different ways of thinking like a behavioral scientist. And if you love behavioral science, actually in the Truman Brewery in a month's time, on the 27th of June, we're doing the world's largest festival of behavioral science and creativity. There's about 3 rows left of tickets, so there's a bit of a scarcity nudge for you there, and you'd love it. If you enjoyed this, you'll also love following, you might know Rory Sutherland on Twitter, who's the leader of our business at Ogilvy, an amazing mind, and definitely worth a follow, and lots of books if you're interested in the area. I'm more than happy to make some recommendations. It has been such a pleasure to be here with you today. I think we're out of time. So I'll take questions at the bar, but it's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much. Tara just reminded me we have a shopping list to remember before anybody leaves. So your left leg has gone into, your right foot in your pocket is, coming out your stomach is, on your chest is, on your left ear is, on your right ear is, coming out your mouth is, and balanced on your head is. Congratulations, everybody.